Hello, good morning, everyone. Tessin, Mariam ma'am, can you hear me? Yeah, hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Almaz Sayed. Welcome for this webinar on revolutionizing clinical research with artificial intelligence. We will get started in few seconds quickly. Tessin, Mariam ma'am, we are good to start. Can we just begin with the session? I see the students are already there live.
Good morning, everyone. So, we are on the verge of starting our live webinar for today.
Mariam ma'am, I'm sorry, your voice is little bit feeble. Let me just check.
Hello?
Yes, you are audible now.
Okay,
Thank
okay. Thank you. So, let's begin with a webinar. The topic for our webinar today is revolutionizing clinical research with artificial intelligence, opportunities and challenges. This webinar is being hosted by AIKTC, that is Anjuman Islam Kalseka Technical Campus, in collaboration with Clinosol Research. Our today's speakers are the founder and the CEO of Clinosol, that is Sir Mujibuddin sir. Then Uma Priya, she is a co-founder and director of Clinosol Research Private Limited. And Miss Almaz Sayed, she is a senior training consultant. For further, I would like to hand over to Mr. Sufyan sir. Let me introduce him. Dr. Sheikh Abu Sufyan. He is a distinguished educator and researcher with over 13 years of experience, serving as a founding faculty at AIKTC, School of Pharmacy, New Panvel, Navi Mumbai, with a master's in pharmacology from Pune University and a PhD in pharmaceutical sciences from Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, Hyderabad. He is renowned for his innovative teaching and research. Recipient of the Anjuman Islam Best Teacher Award, Dr. Abu Sufyan Sheikh Sir, research bridges traditional medicine and modern pharmaceuticals. His award-winning work on the teratogenic effect in zebrafish and research funding from Mumbai University showcase his scientific contributions. As head of the Department of Diploma in Pharmacy in the School of Pharmacy, AIKTC, and member of Secretary of the Institutional Animal Ethics Committee, he is at the forefront of educational and scientific innovations. Today, we are honored to have Dr. Abu Sufyan sir delivering the keynote address. Sir, it is over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mariam. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the Clinisol and Miss Alma's team for collaborating with Anjuman-e-Islam Kalsika Technical Campus for organizing this essential session for our pharmacy students. I am pleased to see that students from colleges across the India are also registered for this session. As a representative of Anjuman-e-Islam Kalsika Technical Campus, it is my duty to introduce our institution. We are proud to be a part of Anjuman-e-Islam, a cornerstone in a nation building since 1874. With 150 years of glorious heritage and history, Anjuman-e-Islam is India's largest social, educational, and charitable organization, managing over 97 educational and social institutions. Each year, we serve around 110,000 students, including about 45,000 girls. Our efforts are recognized by central and state governments, universities, councils, and the boards. Recently, our president, Dr. Zahir Kazi, was awarded a prestigious Padma Shri by the President of India for his contribution to education and literature. Going towards the session, artificial intelligence has the potential to revolutionize the clinical research, enhancing our understanding and the treatment of disease. With the help of AI, we can accelerate drug discovery, improve clinical trial, and advance personalized medicine. However, we must also address challenges such as data privacy, regulatory compliance, bias integration, and ethics to fully realize AI potential. Let us work together to realize the power of AI, transforming clinical research, and ultimately improve patient outcomes. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to the insightful discussion ahead. It is all to you, Dr. Mariam.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we would proceed for our further webinar sessions. The first session is delivered by Mr. Mujibuddin, who is the founder and CEO of Clinosol Research Private Limited. He is going to deliver a session on the topic of Introduction to Clinical Research and Latest Advances. So let me introduce sir. He is a founder and CEO of Clinosol Research Private Limited. He has a highly accomplished professional with impressive educational background, holding both M.Pharm and MSc in clinical research from Manipal University. He has a total industry experience of 15 years, and his teaching experience in CR, PV, CDM, MW, and SAS softwares. He has a leadership in SME, oncology, database development, project management, and business development. He has worked in an esteemed organizations of QPS, Parexel, Accenture, Oracle, and IQVIA. His passion for teaching has enabled him to found his own organization, that is Clinosol Research Private Limited. Through this foundation, he trains and mentors numerous aspirant professionals and successfully placed over 1,000 students since 2019. He has been a part of many international and national conferences such as ICSR, SCDM, and ACRP. He has contributed to the field of advancement of the field. His organization has received 9 prestigious awards. We welcome you, sir, to this webinar and share your insightful thoughts on the topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and I'm very thankful for Almas for hosting this event. I know that it was very short notice that we initiated this discussion that we should have some session which benefits the students, and definitely students across all India and from of AIKTC have joined today. So I'm very thankful to the management who have supported us to conduct this webinar. So before I leave or before I jump into the advanced clinical trial design, so I would like to first tell what is actually clinical trial and how it started in clinical trials, or what are the latest advancement in clinical trials and how AI, ML, and machine learning and data science is coming in clinical trial design. So before I start, if my voice is breaking or if I'm not visible, if my slides are not visible, please stop me so that I can go ahead. So first of all, clinical trials started down the line. If you say the first person who started the clinical trial was James Lind, who was the first person who initiated clinical trial testing on scurvy patients in sailors who were traveling in ocean. And then lemon juice, and one group of patients he gave plain water. And that was the first randomized clinical trial which he tested on the patients of scurvy who were suffering with scurvy. So that's why we celebrate May 20th as Clinical Trial Day. But clinical trial came into more limelight when COVID came into picture. So COVID came and everyone started asking, why can't we bring a vaccine, or why are we not able to identify a device which can immediately give a result of positive or negative, or why can't we bring a molecule immediately? So there were so many discussions which happened. And we started discussing about repurposing of drugs. Remdesivir we started using, HCQ we started using. We started speaking about vaccines. We were not having more time because it was a pandemic and patients were dying. So we have to expedite the process of the clinical trials. So generally, the discovery process, either it is a drug or a vaccine or device or a cosmetic product or biologics, it goes from this. First, they go for a discovery, then to animal studies, then to clinical testing on human beings, then to market. So this was a picture. So first you identify a molecule in a lab, and then you put it on animals. If animal it is safe and having efficacy, you put it on humans. So every step you have an application to be submitted, either it is NDA or INDA or ANDA, with the regulatory authorities with the existing data, how your drug is going to be working. So now, after your animal studies, you have your clinical trials which are being done. So now history speaks so much about clinical trials on different phases, phase 1, 2, 3, and after phase 3, you have a drug to come into market, which is phase 4. But you already have one more new trial design, which is, we cannot say it's approved, but definitely phase 0 also people are speaking about the clinical trials which are being there. So phase 0 also was there in picture, wherein phase 0 was being conducted on microdosing. So different phases were there. Each phase there was an objective that, okay, phase 1, if you take, the objective of trial is to take a healthy volunteers to see the safety, pharmacokinetics, tolerability. Okay, if you take phase 2, you have the first time efficacy and also ongoing safety, and phase 2 has 2A and 2B. If you take phase 3, you have multi-center trials, which are different locations, different religions, different people, and testing of a molecule in different populations. In order to take the enough evidence that really drug or a device or a vaccine is working and it is safe enough to conduct into market. So this was a history. But the problem arose that to conduct phase 0 or phase 1 or 2 and 3, the overall picture of clinical trials used to take 10 to 15 years. So this was the biggest challenge which we had. So now how can we reduce the timeline to 1 year? So if you see, the COVID vaccine came into market within 1 year or 1.5 years of time. But have we not tested the COVID vaccine? Answer is no, we have tested it. We have had enough evidence, and regulatory authorities have carefully reviewed all the data which has been tested on human beings. Then how have we reduced the amount of time, amount of money, and how we brought the molecules to the market as soon as possible is the more interesting story which I will be speaking. So actually clinical trials are of multiple phases, phase 1, 2, 3. After that, you have a post-marketing surveillance after going into market. And during these phases of clinical trials, there are different people who are involved. Either it is the subject or investigator or a CRO or a sponsor or IRB or regulatory authorities. And in each team, there are different team members, which are clinical operations, clinical data management, pharmacovigilance, medical writing, regulatory affairs, HUR, and also statistical teams and medical writers. So many teams are associated with the clinical trials. Why people want to come into clinical trial jobs? Because these are the try jobs, or you can say that, okay, it's a research-based job which does not require particular production or something like a wet labs, you go and do research. These are the jobs which are dry jobs, which means that there are some research which is happening in Australia or US, and you are picking up that data and you are analyzing that data here, then it is called as your dry jobs, which are clinical trial jobs. So my topic today is focused about the futuristic designs or the advanced clinical trial design. See, earlier we used to say, okay, the existing designs are either it is open label or blinded. If it is blinded, single blind or double blind or triple blind. Or either it is parallel study or crossover study. Or either it is randomized study or stratified study. Or either it is active control or placebo control. So these were the designs which we used to do earlier. Okay, a clinical trial has to be pictorially represented that, okay, you take 100 subjects into a trial. Once one group of subject you give a test, one group of subject you give existing molecule, which is a competitor molecule, which is gold standard drug, which has been highly sold in the market. And then you compare the safety and efficacy between these two molecules and then submit this data analytically so that you get your approval for the drug molecule. This was the story. Now, story got twisted that the advancement in clinical trial design also came to reduce the amount of time, money, efforts, and as soon as possible, market, how can you hit it? So this is what is called as your advanced clinical trial design. So I'll be speaking about advancement on clinical trial design. And my first slide goes on with three elements. So these are the three elements which I am going to focus today. So first element is adaptive design. So this is the design which is most of times we are using it, adaptive design. So how can we adapt the existing design to update that design to a newer clinical trial? So that I'm going to speak in short time. And then master protocol. So there are three types of master protocol. So we are saying that, okay, one drug has to be tested on one patient group. Why? One drug can't be tested on multiple groups, or multiple groups can be tested on one patient. Something like that we are discussing so much so that our time get reduced and as soon as possible we are able to do it. The most engaging and most important one is synthetic. So we are speaking about AI, artificial intelligence, and we already have existing so much of clinical trial data or available data which is on particular drug product. Or say, for example, I want to test a drug on anti-inflammatory. The highest sold drug for anti-inflammatory might be a aceclofenac or diclofenac, for example. And that data which has been there already in market is available in there. So why are we testing it separately to collect the data on aceclofenac or diclofenac? Can't we use synthetic? We directly take that data, use your data and compare it, submit the data. So how can we do that? Is something synthetic I'm going to speak. So these are the three most important focused designs which I'm going to speak for today, which is adaptive design, master protocol, and also your synthetic. So now, if you see adaptive design, how is this adaptive design is entirely changed? So now fixed design, you first design a trial. Okay, so you first design a trial and then you conduct a trial and you close out a trial. So simple step. You design saying that, okay, 100 subjects we are taking. Design, take 100 subjects, complete the trial, submit the data, finished. So this is the fixed design, earlier history. So treatment A, one group, treatment B, one group, done, finished. But now the problem here is that when you take 100 subjects and you complete the trial and you analyze, you might fail the trial or you might pass the trial. Not necessary that every time you come up and say that, okay, the trial which we started is ended up with pass. It can get failed also. So you might have data which is not sufficient for you to propose that your test drug is more benefited than reference drug or having efficacy or safety than your reference drug. So analysis might get failed. So now the problem is at the end, we will come to know that this molecule is failed. And you have wasted your time, energy, money, everything and saying that, sorry, boss, we are failed. But now to change that, we have changed it to adaptive design. So now what is adaptive design is, the adaptive design is first you design a trial. Okay. So then you start conducting it. You collect the subjects into trial. You start taking the subjects into trial. Then subjects start taking medication and subject start giving data. So now existing data, small amount of data, I'm going and reviewing that data with the interim analysis. Whether my data is speaking good, that my drug is safe enough, having efficacy than the competitor drug, or should I change my design? Or should I stop my trial? Something like that we can do during the trial rather than doing an analysis at the end. So now you design it and then you conduct it. During the trial, you stop a trial, you do interim analysis and change the adaptations. You adapt it. You make the changes during the trial and then you review the data. And this process will ongo and continue till you analyze the final data. So now this process is called as adaptive design. So adaptive design, you might increase the subjects, you might decrease the subjects, you might change the drug molecule, you might change the inclusion criteria, exclusion criteria, you might come up with new endpoints, patient-reported outcomes, clinical outcomes, whatever it might be. So this all data might come with kind of adaptive design. So adaptive design is a clinical trial designs that allow planned modifications based on accumulation of data which is already available. So based on the data which is already available in the trial, you are going to change it, then it is called as adaptive design. So adaptive design is your changes of clinical trial design during your conduct of clinical trial. So pictorially it is represented here. So you might start with 2 subjects, but end up with 3 or 4 subjects or multiple subjects changes what the treatment has to be taken. So this is adaptive design. So what are the advantages? So these are the advantage which you have. The increased probability of success because you change your molecule, you know that what way you are going. At every point, you have a step back to take, maximize the information, you get a lot of information, shortens the development time, reduces overall cost and risk for the subjects and sponsors, and profitability and probability of passing the study will be more. So now next design, very interesting design, which is master protocol. So master protocol is multiple sub-studies and multiple subgroups. Why are we doing it? Say, for example, I have a drug. I'm doubting that this drug can be working against lung cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Now, if I want to test it, I need to design 3 drugs. One drug, lung cancer, objective, pancreatic cancer, one objective, and liver cancer, one objective. Why should I have 3 different protocols? Why can't I have one protocol of different diseases and I can use one drug? So this is one option. The other option, I have 3 drugs, but for only one disease. I have A drug, B drug, A plus B drug, but I have only one disease. So now if I want to test it, I need to have 3 subgroups or 3 studies. A drug first one, B drug second one, and A plus B. So why should we have 3 different ones? So one drug, different diseases, different drugs, one disease. How can we do it? So is something which is called as master protocol. And this master protocol, first one, this is the basket design. So now you have a drug A, which can be used for multiple purposes. So I'm taking 4 group of subjects in one trial. Disease A, disease B, disease C, disease D. And one drug is being given for each group of subjects. At certain point, I will understand that which disease is being cured more. I will focus only on that drug to that disease. And I'm not wasting most of time. So now this is something which is called as basket designs. Simple logic, one drug, multiple indications, multiple diseases can be tested. And this is a robust design where we can statistically analyze whether one drug can be tested for multiple indications and multiple diseases. So this is something which is your basket design. So now next one, opposite to it is umbrella design. So umbrella design is the one which is about a different diseases or one disease, a different molecule. So say for example, A drug, B drug, A plus B and control, which is your competitor drug. So now you have 4 drugs, but only one disease. But out of these 4 drugs, which drug is working correctly? You just have to work it. And this is opposite of it, which is called as umbrella design, which is called as umbrella design. So umbrella design is 1, 2, 3, 4 drugs tested on one particular disease is called as umbrella design. So this is a master protocol umbrella design. So next one, a decentralized trials. So decentralized trials, the word itself is called as decentralized. Now the sessions which we are listening is decentralized. Subject does not need to come to hospital to attend the trial. Every subject home will become a hospital or a site to participate into trial. The learning what we are doing it is virtual, decentralized, patientless, and how can we make the patient into the forward end so that patient gets benefited. So we are using different kind of activities like phones, apps, sensors, watches, e-pros, and patient questionnaires to collect the data. Patient not necessary to come into trial. So now here you will have a central server and patient home. Patient can go to local lab, or patient can directly give the data to the server, or patient can directly talk to doctor virtually by using different apps. Decentralized is called as siteless or virtual studies. And this study makes patient at the center. Patient does not need to travel, waste time, and he can participate into clinical trial at any point in time. Informed consent, conduct of trial, designing of trial, statistical analysis, or collecting of data, and questionnaires, outcome of data, and COA and sensors all together is called as decentralized clinical trial. All the medications will be sent to patient home. All the lab samples will be sent to the medications or to the patient home, and patient can participate into clinical trial without going and wasting time to meet the doctor. So now this is what you call it as decentralized clinical trial, and this is the future of your clinical trials. So now there is one more thing, which is platform. This is more confusion. So platform design is more challenging. I spoke about one drug, multiple diseases, multiple drug, one disease. I spoke about one drug, multiple diseases, multiple drugs, one disease. But now here, multiple drugs, multiple diseases. Biggest problem. Multiple drugs, multiple diseases. Now, say for example, I have A drug and B drug. I have disease A, disease B, disease C. I don't know which drug might act on which disease. So this is what you call it as multiple drugs are being treated for multiple indication, and this is very challenging to do it. Multiple drugs and multiple indications is called as your platform design. So which is your challenging kind of design. So now this is synthetic arm. Now what is synthetic arm? Now you are collecting whole amount of real world data, which is your already existing patient data is being collected from the patients. Say for example, if you want to collect the data of cancer patients, you have so much of data which is already available on the cancer patient. If you want to bring your new molecule, you can bring a new molecule because already existing cancer data is already available and you can test with that. Rather than taking one group of subjects and you test it enough, you already have a lot of data which is available on the real world evidence, and you can utilize that data for analysis. That is something which is called as synthetic arm. Synthetic arm is emerging study design. One or more arms are being replaced by previously collected data. The previously collected information which is already available in the market can be utilized and can be used for the purpose of conducting clinical trials. But there are some issues about your real-time data or real-world data, because the data which has been collected might not be validated, might not be clean. So there are some issues, but definitely we can do this kind of trials, which is called as synthetic arm trials. Yeah, quality by design. So this is one more design which you have it. So risk management or risk-based approach. You might not go and review all the data which is available. So then you call it as quality, risk-based approach. So now you have 4 steps. First you plan, then you do, then you check, and you act. So 4 words: plan, do, check, act. So you plan a design and you conduct a trial. During your conduct of trial, you check it, and then accordingly you act it and change your proper designs of clinical trial. So this is what you call it as assessing the quality by design. So the CTQs, the critical quality factors which are there: protocol designs, feasibilities, safeties, study conduct, reporting, and third-party engagement. So these are the things which are available. So I spoke in neutral cell, I spoke about what are the clinical trials, introduction of clinical trial, what are the latest designs of clinical trial, including adaptive design, master protocol, basket design, and platform design, and umbrella design, and decentralized design, and synthetic arms, and your quality by designs. So this many designs I spoke, and these are the latest advancement on your clinical trial design. So I hope I have made so much of things clear about how the advancement of clinical trial designs have been taken place and how it gets changed. I'm open for questions. I think team will get the questions back. I will be here. You can put questions in your YouTube comment section. I'll be happy to answer your questions. With this, I think I'll stop my session and I'll hand it over to host. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. We have a Q&A session in the end of the webinar. So we'll discuss all the questions there. Your session was highly informative, sir. The traditional clinical trials which we do, the viewers have, I think, gained some knowledge about the latest knowledge about the adaptive design and the master protocol and the DCT. So it was really a very good session. Now we move on to the next session by Miss Uma Priya. She's going to deliver a session on growth of AI in India and career opportunities in CR. Now, Miss Uma Priya has done MSc and MBA from Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, Hyderabad. She is a co-founder and director of Clinosol Research Private Limited. She has a total industry experience of 15 years, teaching experience in CR, CDM, MW and SAS software. She has a leadership qualities in QMS, project management, process management, database testing, and strategic management. She began her career in 2004 as a junior associate in medical documentation for US healthcare facilities. Over the years, she has also worked as a quality head and later transitioned into a project lead in clinical data management until 2018. In 2019, she co-founded Clinosol Research Private Limited. With her extensive knowledge and experience, she has been shaping the organization in a excellent way. Over the last 5 years, her contributions has elevated the standards of clinical research training and also empowered countless students. So I would like to welcome Ms. Uma Priya for delivering her next session. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. That's really great listening to all of you. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
All right. I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if it's visible. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Today we are speaking about clinical research, where it has started, how it has grown in the latest years, and what's going to happen in clinical research industry in the future. Right. So I'm going to skip a few slides because Mujib sir has already given an introduction about clinical research, the history of it, and what has happened in every century, which we have already seen how it has been transformed from the early stages to the digital era that we are seeing today. So let me not touch all these topics. All right. So we are in a digital era where we are speaking more of advancements and the methodologies that we have implemented. I think I'm not visible to you guys. So what are the changes? What are the methods that have been introduced to this industry? As Mujib sir was mentioning earlier, COVID-19 has put forward a big challenge to all the researchers that how we can transform this industry so that we are going to benefit the patient community, benefit the mankind with the research and innovation. So with this ideology, the latest designs have come into picture. Adaptive design you have already seen in Mujib sir's presentation, and patient-centric approaches. Now we are considering the patient. Earlier, patient used to go to the clinic and doctor used to prescribe something and patient used to take before taking. He never used to ask any questions because doctor is the main person who knows everything, right? This is our belief. So we don't put any cross questions. We think that, yes, he is a medical professional, whatever he is giving. So we are going to take it. But now everyone is educated. We are able to understand what are the adverse events, what are the adverse drug reactions, especially post-COVID. Everyone was knowing what are clinical trials, how they happen, in how many phases they happen, what kind of data, the companies are collecting from the patient or from the healthy volunteers. Everyone started knowing what's happening in clinical trials nowadays. So now in this patient-centric era, patient is the king. Patient has every right to ask the questions. Now I'm taking some XYZ drug and I'm going to participate in this clinical trial. So how this drug is going to work on me? How much time it would take for me to, get out of this disease? What are the drug-to-drug interactions from my past medications and this current medication? So
Hello,
all
ma'am.
these
Excuse me.
questions-
Can you please present the slideshow?
It's not happening.
No, ma'am.
Let me reshare. Hope it's visible.
Ma'am, the screen is visible. Just do the slideshow. Yes, thank you.
I think it's not got pressed. Okay, right. So we are giving most preference to the patient in this era, and we are collecting lots of data from the real world. It is nothing but from the variables, from the documentations, patient diaries, electronic patient reports like EMRs, EHRs. We are collecting lots of data, and we are putting all this data forward to understand what this data is speaking about. Digital health technologies, everyone is using, wearables these days. The smart watches, smart mobiles are also having some applications. How many steps we are walking, how much exercise we are doing, how much we are eating, how many calories we are eating, how much fat we are burning, how much time we have to walk, how many steps are still remaining. They are reminding us, and the very same technology we are using with regard to clinical trials as well, to remind the patient about when he has to take a medication. If he is taking medication, the video automatically starts to make sure that the patient is taking the medication, because everything is decentralized. Nobody can be sitting there, watching whether the patient is taking the medication or not, right? So we are also using some sensors, some capsules, whatever the capsules or tablets we are using, we are putting small chips in it. When the tablet goes inside, it gives the information to the system that, the tablet has entered the gut, and the tablet has broken, and whatever the data that is gathering from the chip, we are collecting remotely, sitting in one location. The decentralization is, you are not going to the clinic. You are sitting, the patient is sitting at his home, and home is becoming the clinical trial site, and the nursing care will be happening from home, and the medications, laboratory tests, everything is happening. Most of the trials these days are decentralized trials. We cannot say that 100% decentralization is happening, because some samples, right? Some kind of tests like MRI, CT scans, and some tissue samples, some big, equipments, wherever we need such kind of very big sophisticated tools, we definitely need to visit. So we are approaching towards a hybrid mode. We have fully centralized, and hybrid modes, where in hybrid mode, we are doing most of our trials. Some days patient has to go to the clinic, some days he can sit at home and take the medication. So what are the challenges? What have made us to think or run towards the artificial intelligence systems are, the drug discovery itself is a very lengthy process. And from that stage to the drug reaching to the market is a very lengthy process. It has to cross different phases, and it has to meet with the objectives or the endpoints every time. And the data that has been collected, from the systems, it has to be clean and clear. If it is not clean, and if we are not able to gather proper data, and it is not giving us the outputs, the data is not giving us proper inputs or outputs, then it is difficult. Patient recruitment and retention. Earlier we used to have some remote sites where technology is not there, networking is not there, you cannot reach to those sites, right? So you cannot go and recruit a patient. If a patient is getting any adverse events, they may be afraid, they may not come back asking the doctor that this is what I'm experiencing. Rather, they would discontinue the study in between. So if they discontinue, this data is useless because we cannot continue the person in the trial, and till the end what is happening we cannot know. And diversity in population, if we are conducting in a specific location, earlier, the very same way transportation was not there, we cannot reach to the places much, we don't have the network to enter the data in electronic systems. That was the earlier difficulty, but we have very robust, very large scale servers these days, and all this information will be stored in those big cloud servers. I cannot suggest server, now it's a cloud server, so it takes any amount of data because clinical research or clinical trial data is very huge data. It happens for years, right? We collect lots of data. And data collection and analysis was the biggest trouble because you are collecting everything manually on papers. You have to evaluate 2 years, 3 years data because we are submitting the data to the regulatory authority at the end of the trial, right? When we are reaching some endpoint. So all this collection of data is very difficult earlier, and no real world integration. We were not having such systems built, such network systems or such databases or such programs built earlier. That was the problem we were facing. And research findings, dissemination of research findings. Because of this reason, we were not able to put all the information, which is very much valuable, to get the permissions and all was really difficult. So now we are seeing how artificial intelligence is going to solve such kind of problems that we have seen earlier. The first biggest problem AI has solved is the storage. Okay, whatever data we are collecting, we are putting all the data in cloud servers, and we are connecting from artificial intelligence tools, and this data is being stored there from your wearable device to that centralized server or the cloud server. And from this server, all the different teams involved can use the same kind of data, because earlier you used to courier the data, you used to tell the data over a telephonic call or a mail and all that stuff. Now anybody who is authorized can access the data, whatever data they need to work on, that like the PV teams, like the data management teams, they will be having access to their own kind of data as per the roles and roles that have been defined to that particular designation. And process has been streamlined because everything you can see as a structured way today. It's not like it is in papers, you have to go open the locker and you have to refer to the data. Everything is now in an order. You can see that order in the systems, and with this we are able to engage with any patient across the globe, so that we are making the experiences of the patient and managing adverse events in a better way. Data collection, I have already spoken about data collection. We are gathering the data from the real world studies, from the patient diaries, from the electronic tools, right? The gadgets, Google lenses, whatever we are doing. And going forward, we are going to get more gadgets, which may capture more critical data. We are doing imaging research. From the images, we are feeding the artificial intelligence systems, and we are understanding the tumors, especially imaging research is useful in dermatological or the cancer studies. So intelligently, we are processing the data, we are feeding the systems with all this data and making sure that the artificial systems are, understanding the data that we are feeding in, that we are keying in, and from that we are able to predict, what is going to happen. If a person is having, say, suppose a group of people are having heart attack. So in the coming 10 years, what is the risk that is going to happen? How many of, people who are having high blood pressure are going to get heart attack in the coming 10 years? So with this data available in our hand, a person is pre-diabetic, right? In how many years he is going to be diabetic, or with this diabetes, how many are going to develop diabetic retinopathy, diabetic nephropathy, diabetic neuropathy? These kind of things are being predicted with predictive analysis, with the baseline data that we are collecting, like the vital signs or the laboratory data. And with this, we are also making the insights personalized. For every particular patient, we are giving a specific treatment plan. It's not that for a group, we are giving a treatment plan. We are dividing that for this group, this could be the personalized treatment plan. You might have seen in many of the cases that this is only for you. This offer is only for you. For people like this level income. For this level income, this is your insurance. Okay. So how they are personalizing the plans. The very way treatment plan also can be personalized based on the data that we are collecting from the real world evidences. And now A is helping us in recruiting the subjects. You can see on my screen that, from a group of people, it is dividing based on their past medical histories, their family history, their social history, their genetic data. The artificial intelligence systems are grouping them in a different way. And, it has become very much easier for us to only take the population which we need particularly. We need not to compromise that, we are not getting such kind of patients, so we'll get compromised and we'll take some XYZ candidate. No, it's not happening nowadays, and we are able to collect the data, and we are able to bring out some information from that, and we are able to group the patients as per our requirement without any compromise on selecting the subjects, because the data is being collected across the globe. If the kind of patients that we need are in a particular place, we can go there and we can conduct the study there itself based on the heterogeneity. Right. So this is the patient's journey, how the patient is going through this entire stage of clinical trials. Now the doctors are using the AI-enabled systems to recruit, to identify the particular patient group through electronic medical records or electronic health records. These days, everything is digitalized, right? If you go to a hospital, they are also using computerized systems, and they are also storing your data in computer systems. So from this, these doctors are able to get the data from different servers, different hospitals. We are collecting the data, and from that data, what kind of criteria we need, we are able to quickly pick the patient, and you can see that complete decentralized kind of approach, right? So you can give, wearable or a medical device, you can give to the subject. You can take the consent online that patient is, willing to participate in the study, and virtually they are monitoring through telephonic calls or through online, applications. They are regularly monitoring the patient's condition. And if it is required, the hospital or the clinical trial site can automatically book a cab for them, so that they can rush the patient to the clinical trial site, so that they can manage the adverse events or any other serious kind of events very quickly. So this is called as the recruitment optimization using artificial intelligence. Right. AI is also being used to identify the risks because of the algorithms that we are keying in. We are giving all the information about the adverse events, all the past medical histories, and reading all these past medical histories. But this kind of past medical history, this drug may work, this drug may not work. If this drug is being used, what is the risk it is going to pose? All this information, the artificial systems are understanding, and they are predicting that this is a high risk patient, so do not have this patient in your trial. You can immediately withdraw the subject anytime in between the study if any risk or threat is being observed by the systems. They are also assessing the impact. That is what I was saying, how much impact is going to cause, how much severe the adverse event is going to become on this particular population. The AI systems are analyzing that and also developing the risk management strategies, how they are going to evaluate, mitigate, or prevent the risk that is going to happen. So we have already spoken about the predictive analysis, how the systems are predicting based on the data of the patient that we are giving, and precisely how they are going to accurately give the information to have improved outcomes, because nothing is that you have to have 100% outcome, right? So we are making sure that the outcome is in a much more better way than before using the artificial intelligence systems and automated workflows. So wherever we used to repeatedly do the tasks earlier, we are cutting that down, we are cutting that time down, so that we can work more efficiently on the quality than doing the processes repetitively and wasting time in doing the work time and again. So right, let's speak about the regulatory landscapes, how the regulatory authorities are working on using the artificial systems in clinical trials. FDA has already issued guidelines on using AML-based softwares, the kind of quality that they maintain, the ethical considerations like data safety, patient information safety. For all this kind of issues, they have released a guidance document. Still, all the regulators are working, especially ICH is working very, very actively on this, and we are going to have E3 guidelines going forward, which focuses more on the ethical principles or the data safety, that because everything is in the cloud, right? So hackers may attack or patient data may get compromised. So to safeguard all this data that we collect, especially the confidentiality, is very much important in our clinical research industry. So what kind of algorithms, what kind of safety walls are being built? These regulators have focused on these systems, and European Medical Agency also has developed a framework based on the rising needs of the digitalization or the technologies that we are using. We are coming up with, every now and then we are coming up with some of the other challenges, and they are going to address with this framework what kind of challenges are arising and how much strict we have to be, how much stringent guidelines we have to bring all these artificial intelligence systems or the smart devices. Health Canada also has launched an program where they are working on digital technologies and including AI kind of algorithms. We have Japan PMDA is also working on establishing guidelines for using artificial intelligence, natural language processing, and machine learning, because we are a diverse country, we have different languages, right? So we also need to understand machine language is different, our human languages are different. Integrating all these languages so that machine can understand is not that easy task. We speak so many languages, being a very big country. So ethical consideration, the biggest ethical consideration is the patient's privacy. The data that we are going to collect from the patient has to be very safe enough, and data that we are going to collect should not be, compromised, and informed consents. We have to, collect the informed consent in a proper way, making sure that all the information that has been mentioned in the informed consent is being understood by the patient. Then only they are coming into the trial with their voluntary willingness. So how we are going to integrate the AI systems into the clinical research workflow are, because clinical research is a multidisciplinary team where we are working with the safety teams, we are working with the data management teams, we are working with the medical writing teams, as well as the statistical analysis teams and other functionalities as well. So we have to collaborate with all these teams. Every team will be collecting different kinds of information and putting all this information together. We need to have a multidisciplinary approach where all these people are working towards only one goal, which is patient safety. And AI integration, all these tools have to be integrated in one clinical trial management system where we can access the data from different systems coming, that may be coming from the safety team, that may be coming from the data management team, that may be coming from any other team. We have to integrate all these systems together so that we can understand the data, we can understand the processes, and we can do some good to the patient community. And when you are keying data to the artificial intelligence systems, it is a continuous process. It is not that you have keyed in some data today and you can work for 100 years. It won't happen. Every time the new information, as and when it arises, you have to again go and feed it to the system, artificial intelligence machine. You have to write the code so that all this new data also being captured by the artificial intelligence machines, and they are working continuously on bringing the quality. So the biggest advantage that we have seen with artificial intelligence systems, especially in improving the clinical trial design, is protocol optimization. So with this, every time what happens is every new change comes, then we have to amend it. So with using these systems, we are reducing the amendments, the changes that can constantly happen. Whenever the protocol changes, the data changes, you have to collect some new data, because it is really hectic. It's been 2 years since the study started, right? Now, if you have to again change the design, again you have to collect everything. patients have already given the samples. Now again, you have to go, you have to request them again. No, you have to start everything right from the beginning. So 30% of reduction has happened with using technology in protocol amendments. So we are enhancing the patient engagement through personalized outreach. I have already discussed how we are, personalizing the medication to the, patient gamification approaches. So kind of 3D technologies we are using to improve the patient journey, how it happens. We are making them visualize, how their journey is going to be when they come into the clinical trials. Remotely, we are monitoring. We have already discussed about remote monitoring and collaborative care. So it's not just only the medical doctor or the patient. We have different teams involved. So collaboratively, every team has to sit together to understand, to, discuss the journey of the patient, and they have to think in a bigger way, better way, and how, they can improve the patient outcomes with all the data that they have. So we are using AI to accelerate the drug development also. We are keying in the data of pharmaceutical products to the system so that they can identify the molecules from, that formulas, and, they are giving the possible formulas to the researchers, and it is making the researchers easy to develop a drug based on the data that AI systems are giving based on the pharmacological actions or activities of the drug. Personalized medicine, we have already spoken about real world evidence. We have already spoken about AI systems, because they are not humans. They do not know how to do, bias, how to be partial about, partiality is not there. AI systems are systems. They don't understand caste, creed, community, nothing. Every human being is equal for the AI systems. So there will be no bias. The equality will be maintained, that we are favoring only one community, certain community, or certain particular population. It don't happen with AI systems. So it is like treating everyone equal with AI systems. Data quality will be improving because we are able to identify the errors beforehand, and we are able to stop them before itself. And sample collections and sample management using AI systems have become much more easier, and algorithms that we are building to develop, so that have become very much transparent enough. So collaboration is important, that we have spoken already. So for you guys, Almas is going to speak more about career guidance, but specifically I would like to speak about 3 words that, you have to keep in your mind is, you have to be quick enough to adapt to the new technologies. Do not sit, I have seen so many life science graduates or pharma graduates not even working on laptops, not even knowing basics of MS Excel. Excel is very basic, right? So you have to embrace the new technologies. You have to learn the basics of computers. I'm not saying that you have to program all of a sudden. You write a computer programming C, C++, ASP.NET. I'm not asking you to do that. But at least the basics of, MS Office, PowerPoint presentations, some basic data analytical tools you should be understanding very well. And educate yourself. Continuous learning is very much important to sustain in the industry. Do not think that your certification is enough to enter into the industry. That may be enough as a qualification, but clinical research industry really looks for skilled people who can understand all these areas, like the ethical considerations, the data safety, the data quality, all these elements, good clinical practices. So all these are necessary for you. You have to upgrade yourself every time. You have to educate yourself every time throughout your career journey. You may not be having examinations, certificates, but again, keeping up to date with the latest technology trends, latest regulatory trends are very much important. Post-COVID, we have got NDCT 19 rules. Most of the pharmacists doesn't know that Schedule H is not there now, right? So you have to be sharp enough to understand the trends of the industry that you want to enter. And you also have to collaborate with different teams to understand their work. Do not sit idle that, you are in clinical research industry or clinical trials. Just don't think that, this is enough for me. understand the PV work, how they are processing the cases, and understand the data management work, how medical writers are documenting all these narratives or case summaries, all this stuff. How the data analysis is happening, on which data they are analyzing, what kind of analysis is happening. So you have to get in touch with every team, network with them, understand what work they are doing. That really helps you to grow going forward. So future of AI is really bright because we are a big country. Lots of diseases are coming up. Cancer has become a very big disease these days, right? So lots of research is happening. There is bright future to key in all this data. You are the right people to feed the AI machines with data. So you understand the data better. So do not think that you will not be having career because you do not know the programming. It's not the case. Programmers are different, and programmers will code when you provide the data. Okay, you are the people to provide the data to them. You are the right people to do that. So with this artificial intelligence and all these technologies, your chances of getting job have increased, not reduced. So with this, I stop here and I'll be handing to Almas or the team from AIKTC so that they can take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So this was a very enlightenment session about the implementation of AI. We have seen that how AI has the advances in the clinical trials, right from the data collection, predictions in the future, how the data can be predicted in the futures, how the subjects are recruited in the protocols, in the trials, depending on the AI database, the virtual monitoring, the risk assessment, and how the regulatory agencies like FDA and EMA are implementing these systems to develop it further. So it was a very enlightenment session. Now I would like to hand over the session to Professor Tehseen Attar for the further proceedings. Thank you.
A very warm good afternoon to one and all. Thank you so much, Mariam ma'am. Our next speaker is Almaz Saeed. She is senior training consultant in Clinosol Research Private Limited. She has total industry experience 20 years and training experience 10 years. Almaz Saeed is currently serving as a senior manager in pharma and medical devices training lead. Is a seasoned professional with extensive experience in the pharmaceutical and clinical research industry. She holds a master in business administration in international business, a life science degree in microbiology, and diplomas in medical lab technology, as well as clinical research and regulatory affairs. Almaz is a certified trainer by NPTEL, a lead author in QMS and food safety management system, and a certified ICH GCP trainer by TCS. Over her career, she has delivered numerous trainings in clinical research, protocol safety monitoring, and pharmacovigilance for life science associates, investigators, and academic institutions. She has been a prominent speaker at multiple pharmacovigilance conferences and has conducted pharmacovigilance and business communication trainings and workshops for over 20 years, impacting various institutes and colleges. Almaz is known for conducting over 300 training sessions annually and has also led PV awareness sessions as a guest speaker in several pharmacy colleges. Her previous roles includes QA specialist and PV SME trainer at TCS, PV lead and process trainer at Cognizant Technology Solutions, QA manager at Impel Pro SCM Solutions, senior faculty in clinical research at CREMA, senior drug safety associate at TCS, drug safety executive, Zero Clean Farm Private Limited, customer sales representative at Spanco International Private Limited, and laboratory technician in pathology department at Wadia Hospital. And with that, I'll pass the mic over to Almaz Saeed for sharing knowledge about the growth in artificial intelligence in India and career opportunities in clinical research.
Thank you so much, Tehseen, for that wonderful introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope all of you are enjoying this, wonderful learning session, this webinar. without any delays, I'll jump onto my topic. So let me just confirm if my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay, great. So I think Mujib already spoke about what is clinical research, clinical trial, what are the advancements that's happening. And then later Uma has touched on the technological advancements. She spoke about AI to some extent. I'll just use few quick examples, like use cases where AI has been implemented, and then I will start talking about the most important topic or session that students are interested about, is the career opportunities. Okay, so we have understood up till now that clinical research is overall, the process or this particular domain is very lucrative. There are lots of opportunities. We see that clinical research, the entire process of research, this cycle or phase, it is dynamic, it is complicated, it is time consuming. There are lots of resources or trained professional, need of trained professional. Okay, and definitely we invest lots of time, money, right? And with technological advancement changes, we have seen that how most of these steps, processes, we have been able to change or minimize the time that actually goes into the entire process of research and other activities. So to give you an overview of clinical research industry, I would just like to give you a short, summary that when we conduct a research, it is a complicated process. There are multiple therapeutic areas, different clinical trial process, and the most important thing is data. Right? When we are doing researches, right, this is happening in a global, and there are and these are multi centers, right? Which means that it's a global trial conducted in various region, various countries, and there are different sites. So you can imagine the amount of data that gets generated. It's a humongous data, right? So one pain area or something which is very important for every clinical research professional, or for us as a healthcare professional or pharmacist, is to understand that how do we handle, how do we manage, right, this data, so that it is utilized for patient safety. At the same time, we ensure that whatever we are doing, we are integrating technology, your AI, blockchains, big analytics, everything is within the framework of regulation. So this is something which is very important. Let us see the role of technology in transforming clinical research careers. So from the previous session, I hope all of you have some flavor or an understanding that the integration or beginning of different kind of technologies have definitely changed the way how we were doing the work, right? Every process, right from your drug development, conducting the trial, research phase, safety monitoring, pharmacovigilance, anything that you name, there is technology that has already started being used. Okay, so there is a dynamic change that is occurring in the pharma healthcare industry. There are lots of new technologies, including your artificial intelligence, blockchains, big data analysis, right? And this is actually shaping the role and skill set requirements, how the clinical research professional should start their learning, right? So they have to upskill, learn, get trained with all these new technologies coming in, so that along with the subject or domain knowledge, they are also able to accept or work on these technological applications, and ensure that they are able to take care of their roles and responsibilities. So this is very important. Uma just spoke about developing basic skills. So once you work walk up to the employer, apart from your subject or domain knowledge, that's something which is very important, that how proficient you are or how good you are with maybe using an Excel, or maybe making a PowerPoint or power VI dashboard, etc. So this is a very minimal or basic requirement now. Okay, so we have to be very careful. We have to understand that it is imperative that along with the subject, you are needing expertise in the area of data analysis, digital system management, and patient engagement through these kind of digital tools. Now, what is artificial intelligence? I think Uma spoke about it. So just to give you a few more examples, we have understood that artificial intelligence, this is a technology, right? So it is a technology which will enable your computers or other devices to implement tasks which would otherwise take time or too much of cost for getting completed. So it's like having a support from a robot or from a computer, right? And it is equivalent to, or it is able to take decision like how human would do. So artificial intelligence, this is actually now revolutionizing the entire process of clinical research or drug discovery process, monitoring, patient safety. Okay, how do you manage the data, everything. Multiple advantages that has already been realized is accuracy, because we are making use of machine learning, we are making use of deep learning, so the chances of error is minimized. Okay, although there is some extent human intervention still required, but what we are seeing, what we have observed is it is giving you more accuracy, right? Decision making ability or decision making power, it is also enhancing us for quick decision. When you're dealing with too much of data, it becomes difficult, or it is time consuming to sort, do that bucketing of the data, analyze, evaluate, and then come up with some kind of outcome or conclusion. With the integration or with the help of AI, this entire process has become very simple, or has become very swift. AI is also capable of getting involved in high level computation, which means that when you start working with data, right, there are lots of numbers involved, right? So it is capable of doing all those, like working with different kind of data set, this data, correlating, giving you pattern, trends, numbers, giving you bar diagram, correlation, that okay, this is how it is. So it helps you to understand that okay, with this much of data, what is the outcome? Give me an understanding, give me a finding, or what is the interpretation of this entire data. Okay, so that's how AI is helping you in this process of research, safety monitoring, etc. Where all have we seen the integration of AI in pharma and healthcare? Let us see a few examples quickly here. Drug development discovery. So because of this AI integration, and other technologies, your entire process of clinical trial, which earlier or in a traditional way, it used to take, almost 10, 12 or 15 years. This has been simplified. And now we see that it is easy for any companies or sponsors to get the drug, faster into the market. So that period has been reduced or minimized. Handling medical data. When we talk about medical data, see, there are different types of medical data. We can talk about, research data coming from market, data coming from insurance, healthcare. Okay, it could be from hospital setup, etc., etc. So in many cases, when you have so much of data, it becomes difficult for you to interpret the data. How do you sort, and how do you put it into sequence, so that there is a summary, or you are able to get some interpretation. Then there are some complex reports, scans like MRI. Okay, so with the integration or with the help of AI, the interpretation, building, having this kind of reports has become very simple, or has become really easy. Medical diagnosis. There are different kind of AI diagnostic algorithm which is used for screening different kind of disease, like heart condition, diabetes, which is helping any person to get aware, or the doctors, helping doctors to diagnose these diseases at an early stage. So this is actually helping or contributing to overall healthcare management for the patients, right? Predictive analysis. Now, because we are working with data, when we talk about computer, we have to understand that it has a memory, right? So with this, from the previous data, doing trend analysis, analyzing the history, what happened, and then extrapolating it, it is able to give us some kind of prediction that okay, this is a possibility that this could happen. Okay, last time a patient or a group of patients using these drug with so and so medical history, these were the possible adverse drug reaction that they have experienced, right? So that's how predictive analysis, and it will help us better for the healthcare professional to understand and take informed decision. Medical assistant, we have seen, especially during this pandemic, right? If you remember, I would specifically would want to refer people, or patients staying who were getting infected in out of the urban places, remote areas, absolutely not having access to medical facilities, doctors, or physicians. So with AI now, it is possible that at the comfort of your home, you have an access. You could have a virtual nurse, right, who's helping you to monitor, okay, what are your vitals, okay, you are due for taking your medicines at so and so time. So there are virtual nurse, and who would help you, or you get that kind of medical assistance. And decision making. See, when we talk about healthcare, pharma, overall, this is also one segment where we have to understand who is the end customer, that is your patient. We have to ensure that we are giving the right service to the patient is happy, satisfied, the patient is getting benefit from the drug or medicine that the patient is taking, right? So their value, their feedback matters. As a consumer, as a customer, patient, it is important for us to take that feedback. So talking about decision making, AI, when you go ahead, talk about the feedback, okay, they are happy with this drug, what was their experience, they give you those kind of comments, and then this helps in further decision making, right? So interpretation, as a pharma company today, if I'm looking at my drug, I can make an interpretation, or I can do this analysis that, okay, with which drug, what is the kind of feedback, okay, how my customers are feeling, or how my patients are feeling, okay, what do they think about the drug, okay, is there any drug which really causes too much of problematic, untoward or undesirable adverse events that they are not happy or they're not comfortable using it, so on and so forth. So that's the kind of decision making for the patient, for the companies who are manufacturing the drug, to consider whether any changes needs to be done or anything else needs to be done as a part of decision making, right? So these are few examples. I'm sure you can definitely relate. The best example that I can give you about health monitoring or data monitoring is about all the smart watches, right? We did not have access to this, maybe few years back, but now you see almost everyone wearing a smart watch, right? Counting their steps, heartbeat, vitals, and it immediately triggers that, okay, if something is undesirable, something is not going well, it will trigger, and you can immediately reach out to your family physician or to the doctor, and you can get the medical help ASAP. So that's how AI has helped, in the domain or in the space of pharma and healthcare. Let us talk about the career opportunities. And for that, let me highlight this fact to you. When we talk about clinical research, what is the global scenario for now? This complete industry, there are too much of expenditure, which is happening not just in one region or one country, it is global. Okay, and there are multiple trials. Every company, they are day by day they are doing new research, new drug in the market. I would like to again give you an example what happened during the pandemic, right? There was so much of pressure on the companies. Why are you not getting the vaccine? How can we stop? Why can't we find out a treatment, right? So much of pressure. Now, this kind of situation like a pandemic would not happen daily, but still, with some kind of disease, especially cancer or other life-threatening disease, there's too much of pressure on these companies to get new drugs into the market. Okay, so different therapeutic areas, right? For oncology, your CNS, respiratory, endo, cardio, you see that all companies or most of these companies, there are parallel trials happening in different therapeutic areas. Now, with this, you can imagine the amount of time, money, resources, and demand, right? So when that overall trial happens, the research happens, we need people to work on it, right? There are activities, data generated. So there's a strong demand for research specialists globally. We have seen that most of the business flowing in from EU, US, Canada, Australia, and they have now started preferring, or since few decades, they have actually started outsourcing most of their clinical research work to India. So that's how we have an opportunity here, and we have a balance here in India, in terms of our education, training, and other facilities that we could support or help as a service provider to these sponsor companies or to this sponsor. This helps us to attract more jobs here in India, or India becoming a lucrative destination or country for such kind of outsourcing. So that's some very basic understanding or background that I would like to give to each one of you and for you to understand. Now, when you talk about clinical research, this is an umbrella term. Within clinical research, there are different segments or subdomains, like you can say. Pharmacovigilance, which is about your drug safety or monitoring. Clinical data management, I spoke about too much of data that gets generated right from the patient coming in, signing the informed consent form, till the patient completes the clinical trial, and then you are writing the clinical study report and submitting to the regulatory authorities, right? So you have huge amount of data which gets generated. You have to take, analyze, review, submit. Okay, so too much of data, and hence the clinical data management activity. Medical writing, there are scientific documents writing activities, right from your protocol, your clinical, your CRF, your IB, other marketing brochures for, for different doctors, healthcare professionals, some kind of documents which are used as a training material, maybe for the patients or, other customers. So Medical writing is again one of the activity which is or a domain which exists within clinical research. Then there are regulatory affairs, right? So these experts or these team members responsible for compiling all the regulatory requirement, preparing the brochure, understanding what needs to be updated or written in the IND form, NDA form, what is the regulatory requirement. They work on all these requirements, making or assisting in this regulatory aspect. Clinical operations, a team or group where the actual clinical trial related projects are being run, right? So you may have your monitor, your CRA, okay, and then your other executives who are working solely on the clinical research related data, interacting with the investigators, visiting the sites, doing monitoring activities, etc. And then you have biostatistician or statistical programming, who will integrate with this CDM team and ensure that the data is correctly, the cleaning of data is done. You're interpreting the data, generating the report, and then submitting to the relevant stakeholders. So these are the main or important segments or subdomains within the clinical research space. Okay. Regulatory frameworks and data privacy concerns. Now, when we talk about technologies, or we just spoke about integrating artificial intelligence, at every step there are some requirements which we have to carefully adhere to. Regulatory compliance being most important. So your HIPAA, your CFR, your regulatory requirement coming from your ICH, other modules, right? So this needs to be followed. You need to follow some SOP. You need to understand what is the requirement from the sponsor, okay, and accordingly you have to act. Data privacy concerns. See, we are dealing with sensitive data, and protection of patient safety data, the patient data. This is very, very critical. At no given point of time, you can just mishandle the data. Very important that all this data is being handled by authorized person. Okay, authorized person. So this is very, very important. So in any organization, when you start working, no matter what is your designation, it will be clearly listed, understood that, okay, how many members are there in the team, who's junior, senior, what kind of activity role you're doing, and accordingly you have an access so that you could look at the data, make changes, or you are, not having an access to the data. So this kind of SOPs or requirement is very, very important. Now, while working this understanding, we have to conduct we have to support the sponsors who are conducting the research, right? We just spoke about the scope. How do we do this? How do we prepare ourselves? So we are doing the training, right? We have the background from our academics. We have the subject knowledge. Technology is something that we need to learn. We should learn, right? At the same time, collaborate with the authority. So understand what is their requirement, okay, which will help you to have a swift acceptance of these projects, and with all your technologies and respecting the requirement coming from the regulatories, coming from other stakeholders, you are able to run this business in a smooth manner, right? So these are some regulatory frameworks and data privacy concerns that we have to look or keep into mind while using any kind of technology. Now, coming more on the career side, what is important for students in order to step into this industry of clinical research and take up this job, whether in pharmacovigilance, CDM, biostatus programming, medical writing, regulatory affairs, etc. So from your qualification, life science graduate, this is what is the requirement, whether it could be biology, biochemistry, pharmacy. Okay, you should be proficient in data analysis, statistical software, or information management tools. Now, I understand that this could not come immediately, right? But this would happen gradually. But at the beginning, at least the basic requirement is something which is desirable. Communication is something which is very, very important. Okay, see, once you start working in a corporate, once you start working in the organization, depending upon which kind of company or organization that you're working for, you will have different peer, different colleagues, different stakeholders with whom you have to interact. It could be patients, it could be investigator, it could be project manager, it could be auditor, so on and so forth, right? So communication is very important, and attention to detail. You cannot ignore, you cannot miss any single data, form, anything which is related to your work which is coming on your table. So that's very, very important. A single error from your end could mean that you have impacted somehow the patient safety. For example, in a role of a pharmacovigilance unit as a case processor, if I'm not able to do a triage activity correctly, there is a possibility that this could lead to delay in submitting of this form to the regulatory authority, right? So we have to be very careful. Ability to multitask and problem solve. All these activities, you will find that there are multiple functions, team with whom you're working. So you should have that kind of ability to do multitasking. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Okay, there is an email, there is a form, I have to reply here, I have to attend this meeting, training, call, etc. So multitasking, problem solving. So you have to keep that attitude, like open attitude, that yes, there is a problem, we acknowledge the problem, what is the gap, let us identify what is the possible solution. Okay, and then at the end, understanding of clinical trial process. So this is about the domain knowledge, regulatory requirement, right? With Clinosol, we would be able to share the details with all of you. We are also, we have different types of courses. We run workshop, hands-on program, for our students, which helps you to understand not just the subject in terms of theoretical knowledge, but all technological, advancement, what is important, or what kind of skills you need in order to take up or prepare yourself for taking these kind of jobs. Okay, and most importantly, having some understanding on how a task is being done, right? So that is very important. Let us see about some opportunities that exist in India or abroad. So what kind of organization or companies you should look at, or is potential for absorbing you, right? Or getting you the job as a fresher. So we have global pharmaceutical companies or biotech companies, right? So they are essentially into doing different types of clinical trials related activities. It might start from your R&D, quality, manufacturing, okay, actual research activity. Sometimes it could be full, end to end, or it could be, they may be taking one part of maybe just phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, whatever. Okay, so that is one potential organization or type of a company. Pharmaceutical companies, like I just mentioned. So to specify few of the organization, I'm sure you have heard about Bharat Biotech, Reliance, you have heard about Biocan, you have Aurobindo, you have Zero Clinifarm, etc. Okay, so Zero is basically a CRO. So you have a contract research organization. So this is something that I was referring to, that when sponsors, they wish to outsource their clinical research related activities, right? It could be in any of the domains that we have already discussed. Your PV writing work, or your medical writing work, your CDM activity, etc. So here, when you start working with a contract research organization, they are like service provider, right? So important for you that you understand what is the requirement that is coming from the sponsor, right? And the role responsibility is based, or your job offer is given to you based on the requirement of that particular role. So you have to make yourself ready for taking up of these kind of responsibilities. So there are lots of CROs, to name few. I think I mentioned about Zero, then you have AIKTC, you have Covance, right? So these kind of organization, that are taking or that are supporting lots of clinical research related activities, okay, or PV related activities. Similarly, you have other, kind of corporate or organization like BPO, KPO, or IT firms. So you must have heard about TCS, you must have heard about Wipro, Accenture. So basically IT companies, but strong in technology, and hence they have diversified into pharma, healthcare, medical devices, and other kind of, products where they can support clinical research related activities. So either end to end or a portion of clinical research activities. Okay, then you have academic institution. So there are some training institutes. Then you have hospitals where clinical research labs, clinical research related activities, trainings, or your trial related activities are being conducted. So these are different organization places, institute sites, where you have an opportunity to begin or start your career, okay, in the domain of clinical research. Okay, careers in clinical data science for fresher. Okay, now we spoke about clinical research. Okay, we spoke about our medicines, we spoke about pharmacovigilance and all other domains that exist within clinical research. Clinical data science, this is something which is very, very important now. Okay, now as this pharmaceutical haircare sector, they started expanding. Okay, what we realized, or what we saw, that there was an increased demand for clinical data scientists, right? So analysis of data, or interpretation, making reports, very, very important. So because this is something that I stated right in the beginning of my slide, right? This entire activity of clinical research will generate too much of data. And we would need, specialized or skilled train people to ensure that they are handling the data in the right way. So you need your clinical data scientists, right? Within this team, there are different opportunities or role or what kind of activities, right from data cleaning, analysis, reporting, okay, which would help further in decision making for at a senior level or at a higher level. So throughout your entire drug life cycle, yes, data is generated, and hence there is a requirement for clinical data scientists to ensure enabling, handling this data in the appropriate or right way. Okay. And what is needed for you is to ensure that you are continuously learning. What do you get, or how do you ensure that you are able to do your task or role, perform your job or role in a correct way, is to keep yourself updated with all the new things which are coming in your space, okay, in your subject, regulatory requirement, okay, technological advancement. Learn, understand about different application or different tools that are coming up. So this is how you can look at exceeding in your career or rapid career advancement, okay, with learning, which is continuous process. We simply say, or many a times when I take a session, I always say that now you do not have any escape. Learning has become equivalent to breathing. If you don't learn, you cannot survive, right? So that's something which is very, very important. I have just used this for a representative purpose to give you an idea about how a typical organization, CRO organogram would look like. Okay, so I mentioned about the different segments. You remember the clinical research, broad term, and then you have your PV, clinical data management, medical writing, clinical ops, right? So within clinical ops, when we talk about career, or you might be having question about, okay, as a fresher, what do I start with, right? So every function or every domain or segment, there would be a fresher or an entry level job, which is at a junior level. For example, if I say a pharmacovigilance department or a pharmacovigilance team, so you may start with a junior data safety or safety executive. Okay, then you get into a senior level, then you become an SME. Okay, then if you are looking at a vertical growth or leadership roles, a team leader, project manager, so on and so forth. Similarly, when you talk about a data management segment, so there are junior data analyst, senior data analyst, data manager, senior data manager, okay, etc., etc. Same with your medical writing. There are medical writers levels. Okay, this goes more deep into the domain, right? When you wish or you chose that instead of getting into the vertical growth, I do not wish to manage people or handle a team, right? Instead, I would like to dive more inside my subject. So they take up role deep into their subject, work as an individual contributor. Okay, maybe medical writer 1, medical writer 2, medical writer 3. Similarly, okay, in clinical ops, I have worked with CRAs, who started their career as a CRC, then they become a monitor or a CRA, and then CRA1, CRA2, CRA3, etc. Okay. Also, with team who are into this case processing, they are having, or when they decide that, okay, I just want to stick to my subject and become an SME, so product specialist, then product specialist A 1, 2, 3, etc. Okay, so this is how a typical vertical growth would happen in different segments, or subdomains like your clinical operation, data management, pharmacovigilance, medical writing, or medical affairs. Apart from that, there are other supporting group like training. Okay, I have been associated with organization, and most of my career has been into training. Okay, where I have supported training investigators, monitors, project managers, or fresher students who are joining the organization, on regulatory aspect, domain aspect, technical aspect, other technical aspect, etc. Okay, then you have a QC or a QA QC team. Okay, business development team. Then you have your IT team who would look into any kind of issues, etc. Okay, so this is just for representative purpose for you to understand that how the levels look like, okay, or the hierarchy look like. However, this level or hierarchy or role levels that you are looking at, this will vary in different organization or different types of organization, right? So if it is a pharma company, this would be different. If it is a CRO, it would be different. If it is a BPO KPO kind of an setup, this will be different. But the understanding is you start with a basic role and then you start growing up, 1 year, 2 year, okay, till then you become an SME in your domain. And if you wish to take up vertical growth, you get towards your, getting into manager and senior manager and, VP, director, senior director, etc. Or if you wish to, continue working as a contributor, individual contributor in your domain, in your subject, then there are further roles. So that's how the career goes, right? Now coming to what is the package, what is the salary, right? So this is one of the questions that students are always curious or interested to know about. So packages or salaries, compensation which is being paid to even the freshers in the domain of clinical research is good, decent enough. Okay, as a starting package, you can look or expected something between 4, 6, 8 lakhs. This could differ from different setup, like I have mentioned, if it is a pharma company, if it is a CR, or if it is a IT company, right? There are also lucrative opportunities or many opportunities, not just in India, but abroad. So if you wish to, move to a different country, definitely this may not happen at the start or beginning of your career, but after you develop, maybe some 5, 7 years of experience, you can look at opportunities abroad. I have seen many of my friends, working with a CRO or a company and, directly getting absorbed by a particular company, and then they have a project and they get an international assignment. So there is a possibility that, you directly start working with a company, and then depending upon what projects you are getting, what exposure you have, what role you're taking, okay, you could directly start working with the pharma company. Okay, so this is about the salary growth perspective. So starting is the package that I have just mentioned, like 4 lakhs or 8 lakhs or whatever. Then depending upon your performance, how you learn, how you're ready to share your experience, and how much you contribute to the team, to the work, to the organization, there are increments and appraisals which happen within the organization, right? If you wish to stick with an organization, some people after, few years, they wish to, move or jump into different organization. Then according to the market requirement, there is, 30%, 40%, whatever is the hike that you get, right? So that's how the salary and growth perspective you can expect working in the clinical research domain in India or abroad. Work-life balance, so quality of life, how is the working culture? All these organizations are very flexible. Your colleagues, your peers, or even the managers for that matter, they would be, supporting you, helping you. Okay, so work-life balance is what you can expect. Especially during pandemic, they, all these organizations, they had given the flexibility for all the employees to work from home, shipping them laptops, shipping them computers whenever it was needed. Since last few months or a year or so, I must say, companies or, employees have returned back to their office. So still you can, expect it's a hybrid working culture, right? So this all depends upon which organization you're working, what role you are into, who's your manager, how it works for you according to your role, responsibility, etc. But yes, definitely there is a work-life balance, there is a flexibility. Students also ask me this question, that how about if I have, worked for 2 years in pharmacovigilance and now I feel that I want to get into CDM? Is that possible? Yes, it is possible. Okay, so depending upon your interest, my advice would be, depending upon your inclination, interest, make a decision whether you want to pick up PV or CDM or, operations, etc. Okay, so that you get that knowledge and you are able to leverage this further. However, for any kind of, personal exigency, or for whatever reason you feel that, okay, I want to switch, it's possible, it's very much possible. Most of these organizations, okay, I have been working with so many organizations where they help movement, job rotation through IJPs, internal job portals, right? So if you meet with that requirement, and also there are training programs or, skill development, so you have to continuously learn in order to take up next level role, or even if you're wishing to switch from, one domain to another domain within the research. Okay, and hence I am continuously, emphasizing on the importance of learning. You have to keep learning, right? Again, I would like to mention with Clinosol, we have lots of, workshop and hands-on training and exercise, where we help, especially Medra training. Okay. Just to mention, we have a collaboration with Medra where we are, giving the students access or spots for Medra training so that they can benefit and understand how the coding happens, right? So this is something which is very unique with Clinosol. Exciting opportunities in India. I just have a couple of slides to go. Okay, so there could be more. I have just used few, the top cities: Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Delhi, Pune, Chennai, Mysore, Kolkata, Indore, Ahmedabad. So in all these cities, you will see a typical organization having their different branches, right? So when I spoke about flexibility in my previous slide, right, I spoke about flexibility. So see, these are all practical scenarios like happens, right? If suppose it is a girl, right, and there is a female who just got married, and the husband is in Mumbai, she is in Bangalore, and she can request the organization, can I take a transfer? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Okay, so it's very important that any kind of changes at your personal life might not impact your professional life or your job. So that's something that I would like to specify when what I meant by having flexibility. Okay, changing up roles or switching up roles as per your eligibility criteria, if there is any other requirement, because the organizations or they have different, branches in different cities, it is possible for you to switch or move within the same country, in different cities. So that's also which is very, very important. So without the need of for you to quit your job, right, you can still make these changes, hence the flexibility. So this is my last slide. What do we understand from this entire deck or presentation? Conclusion. So we spoke about AI first. We have seen how AI has changed the way we are doing this entire clinical research, how it is supporting healthcare, pharma, drug safety, etc. But what is important is continued growth. Clinical research industry, we need to understand that there is a good potential, not just in India, but it is happening in globally. But because of available resources, trained resources, experienced resources, we are having a good chunk or portion of business which is coming to us to work upon, right? And hence the job opportunities are getting created. Technological integration, however, with these job opportunities, like I mentioned earlier, we have to make sure that we keep ourselves abreast with all the technology. So learn about technological advancement that's happening, learn about digital tools, so that the job that you are looking for, you can make yourself eligible for that kind of role. Global demand, I have already mentioned. So you are not restricted just in one region or one country. Okay, you have gathered some experience, you can apply after a few years if you wish to, in different regions or different countries. So the career opportunities exist globally. Specialization, there are some kind of role within clinical research, which are very niche or very specialized. Okay, one of these that I could think about is, a statistician, biostatistician, or some kind of writers. Okay, where these people, because of the niche role, they are paid very, very high. Okay, so these kind of specialization or job roles also exist. Okay, so sky is the limit, dear friends, students, I would like to say. Okay, and with this, I would like to end my session. I hope all of you have understood this, you have enjoyed the session. Thank you, everyone. And we can have the questions from the students from all the sessions that we have conducted today for this webinar. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah,
I
thank
would
you
like
so
to
much,
hand
Almas.
over
Let's
to
wait for questions.
Tehseen or
If there are any
Mariam.
questions, we'll take care.
Thank you so much, Almas, for this very wonderful enlightening session on the role on technologies in CR and how AI has simplified complex and lengthy process for new drugs. How the data monitoring has been simplified by AI and different career opportunities like pharmacovigilance, CDM, regulatory affairs, CRA. There is a role for biostatistician, and how the number of companies and which are giving opportunities and enlightening about the salaries and work-life balance. There is one question in the those who want to ask question can ask in the YouTube chat box. There was one question regarding who will be responsible for adverse effect by AI/ML. and what regulations can be imposed to control these ADRs?
Almas, would you like to take the answer? Okay. Can you repeat the question once again, please?
Yeah, sure. There is one question. Who will be responsible for the adverse effect brought about by AI/ML? And if it's we humans, what regulation can be imposed to control ADRs?
Yeah, basically, the AEs are being reported by humans. Almas, do you wanted to answer this question? You wanted to take this question?
Yes, Mujib. Thank you. Sorry, I
Go
just took a quick break. I just
Go
taking my
ahead.
water bottle. Okay. So, Tessin, see, whenever it comes to any kind of adverse event reporting, right? This happens as per the requirement, whatever pharmacovigilance guideline that we are following. Right, GCP requirement on reporting. This will be reported exactly the way it should be reported. Now, regulations, yes, there are regulations from ICF, there are regulations from GCP, there are regulations from GBP guidelines, and there are timelines which are defined for reporting different kinds of adverse reaction, serious adverse event, or SUSAs, or expedited reporting. So that's how an adverse event are reported. When you talk about who is responsible, so we have different stakeholders. For example, if it is a clinical research, it is a responsibility of the investigator to ensure that it is, any kind of essay reported from the patient. It is, the person, the investigator fills in the essay form, and it is submitted to the regulatory authority. Similarly, a person who has or who is working as a in the pharmacovigilance unit, they will be doing this reporting on behalf of the sponsor and making this regulatory submission to the regulatory authorities. So that's how the reporting happens. Even in clinical research, there are ethical requirement for submitting of this, ADRs. So it is submitted during the research phase. It is submitted not just to the regulatory authority, but even to the ethics committee. Similarly, for every individual or patient who experiences SA or a serious adverse event, we have ICSR reporting. Okay, and there is a complete your E6 requirement on how ICSR reporting happens, and your other aggregate reporting happens. So there is a real-time reporting for every patient in the form of ICSR, and there are also other aggregate reporting which happens for other kind of reports. So that's how the reporting happens. I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, ma'am. There is no other question. Can we wait more 5 minutes if anyone wants to ask the question in the chat box? Shall we proceed or shall we wait for the questions?
Do we have any further questions, Tessin?
No, there is no another question. Shall we proceed?
Yes, we can proceed. And in case if the student has any further questions, Tessin, they can write to us.
Yeah.
We have provided our email ID for Clinosol. It was there on the slides, and we will share it once again, so that if they have any other questions on any of the subject that we spoke about, they can definitely ask questions.
All right. Thank you so much.
We have provided the feedback link, so students can give feedbacks, and we'll be sending the certificate in, I think, in under 3-4 days of time.
Oh, Okay, okay, sir.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so just to, sorry to interrupt. So the Tessin and students, please be informed that it is important for all of you to submit the feedback. Students who
Yeah.
are submitting the feedback would only be eligible for getting their certificate. So please submit your feedback. It will help us to improvise further on
Yes.
taking such kind of sessions, right? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. There is one question in the chat box. Shall I read it?
Yes.
Yeah. The question says, can bioprocessing part of clinical research be included and the precision and accuracy of the step can be enhanced by AI/ML, which would ease the process of clinical research?
Okay, Almas, would you like to take that answer or should I go ahead? So I think the question itself is not clear. So because bioprocessing part itself is a different question. Precision medicine itself is a different question. We can't include both. But when you call it as precision medicine and clinical trials, the design of clinical trials gets changed. And the decentralization of clinical trials, the subjects enrollment gets changed because precision medicine itself is individual based treatment based on the genetic factors, how it is getting absorbed or how it is getting metabolized. So at this point in time, the precision medicine clinical research, the process of clinical research is very complex. And currently, the pharmacogenetic clinical trials are very less, which are being conducted all over the world. In India, we still have not started any clinical trials, particularly to test on uh, pharmacogenetics or a precision medicine or based on the genetic factor. So I hope I have answered that question.
Yes, sir. There is another question. The question says how the file are categorized based on what and what is process?
Yeah, I think the question here is files
Yeah.
means what? Essential
Yeah.
documents or ADRs or SAEs or SUSARs or what exactly is being questioned? I think we still are not sure. The files, as of now, clinical trials, if you speak, the files are being classified into 3 types: before the start of trial, during the trial, and after the trial. And the archiving of these documents will be for 5 years as per ICH-GCP. After completing of the trial, all the finalized version of essential documents have to be uploaded. And this process is called as trial master file, and you have a lot of opportunities in that particular area also.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Proceeding with a vote of thanks, it brings me great pleasure to move for vote of thanks. My heartfelt gratitude to our Honorable President Dr. Zahir Qazi, led by our Honorable Executive Chairman, Mr. Burhan Haris, Dr. Ramzan Khatik, our esteemed Director, for offering all the resources and assistance. I want to express my gratitude to our beloved Dean, Sharik Sayed sir, for his kind and valuable remarks. I would like to thank HOD of Diploma, Professor Abu Sufyan sir. I would like to thank our audience and the speakers. Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for joining.